everyone, it's Lori from Scraps by Sissy. Welcome to another fabulous Friday. Today we're going to make this cute Fun Fold anniversary card, and it's using the new Springtime Foils designer series paper that is actually part of the second release of Celebration items. For those that don't know what Celebration is, it is a sale period for Stampin' Up! That runs from January through the end of March. For every $50 you spend, you get to choose an item for free. And in February, we had a second release of items, and this designer series paper is one of them. There's 12 pieces of the cardstock in here, and they're all foil embossed. You have rose gold, silver and gold, more rose gold with the gold, and then there's even one in here that is this silver striped foil embossing, and they're all embossed. Isn't that pretty? So for today's card, we're going to use, here's the stack of supplies. So the card base is actually out of Whisper White. Thick Whisper White would be too heavy with all the layers we have going on. It's cut at 4 1/4 by 9 3/4, and it's scored at 5 1/2. The inside layers, you have a piece of gold foil cut at 4 by 5 1/4, and I cut the center out for the sentiment out of the middle. That way you're stretching your foil paper. And then I cut a piece of Whisper White for that layer. Then this piece of designer series paper is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. Then the outside panels, you have a 4 by 4 piece of gold foil and 3 3/4 of the designer series paper, 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. Now the arm on this fold is 1 1/4 by 8 1/2, and it's scored at 5 1/2. And then this little piece of gold foil is cut at 1 inch by 2 3/4, and then another piece of designer series paper cut at 3/4 by 2 1/2, and then I fussy cut this little flower for the flap. So let's get started. First, we're going to fold on all the score lines, and this is where having a bone folder will come in handy. Of course, mine's nowhere to be found. Here it is. Because you really want to burnish those edges so that the card lays as flat as possible. There. And we can go ahead and layer these two pieces down. And I'm using the snail. Oh, before we do that, because the arm has to fit underneath that piece, we're going to, here's the little flap, we're going to heat emboss the sentiment, which is Happy Anniversary, on the inside, and it's easier to do the heat embossing before you adhere the card together. I came up with the idea to put the sentiment here after everything was put together, so the stamp didn't come out as clear as I would like, so it's much easier to do it before you adhere it all together. So since this is a photopolymer stamp set, we're using the Beautiful Bouquet. I love this stamp set. It has so many good sentiments for birthdays and weddings and anniversaries. It just is an all-around good stamp set, if that is good English. So we're going to stamp this sentiment in, oh, before we do that, I'm going to use the embossing buddy to wipe on the piece of cardstock. And what that does is it gets the static off the cardstock so that you won't have those little sprinkles stick to it when we add this, add the gold embossing powder. I think I needed more coffee this morning. We're just going to stamp the sentiment, and then we're going to sprinkle on some gold embossing powder. Okay, now we'll go ahead and we'll stamp the inside sentiment too, so that we do all the heat embossing at once. The inside sentiment, I layered the stamps already on the block. I laid them down and just stuck the block on it. One thing that is going to be nice is when we get our Stamparatus, and you can use that to position your stamps too. Especially, that comes in handy when you are mass producing a card, say for swaps or your Christmas cards, that kind of thing. And we'll just okay, now we'll add the gold embossing powder here. I really like using the little plastic tubs. That way I don't have embossing powder getting everywhere. Although it does still get in areas that you don't want embossing powder, but that's okay. That's what crafters are all about. Okay. Put this away. I'll heat emboss the sentiments and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Yeah, it's much easier if you get all your heat embossing done at once. That way you're not liable to make any kind of mistake. So what we're going to do is we're going to adhere this piece down. And you want to get it just the right side of the edge. So your flap kind of sticks, well, the crease in your flap matches the right side of the cardstock. Gives it room for the top of the card to come in. So now we'll adhere this piece down. And see, once this is all adhered, you're not going to see this opening. Get this back in the shot. There. Now we'll adhere this piece down. I've had one of those weeks where everything has just kind of gone wonky, so my camera, the mount fell apart, and I'm working with it at an odd angle at the moment, although you won't be able to see the difference. Okay, we'll adhere these guys down. Here are the inside pieces. And this will fit just on the inside so that it's covered. Now we're going to add a dimensional to the flower. Give it a little bit of height. Let's see where we want this guy to go. He's going to sit right about there. About like that. Make sure you burnish the edges on that flat too. It'll help it lay flatter. What's an anniversary card without some kind of bling? Well, there you go. Isn't that a really pretty anniversary card? I actually got this fun fold pattern from another demonstrator. I will give her compliments in the blog post. You can check it out there. We're down to the last 3 weeks of celebration, so if this is an item you want to get, you'll have just until the end of March to be able to get it. For all information on this card, go to scrapsbysissy.com, and I hope you have a fabulous Friday. Bye!